Digital first.
Hello and good morning to everyone who has joined to our today's webinar. It is really nice to see you being here and joining us through the next couple of minutes to our first Digital First webinar. I would greet you all in the name of our Digital First Consortium and in the name of all of us together who will be presenting the results of our research, our first year of the project. My name is Maja, and I am a representative of Algebra University, who is also a project coordinator for Digital First project. It is really a special moment for us to be here today and share with you what we have found about teaching informatics in the last year and what is going to be used in the next 2 years of our project that is ongoing. Before we dig deeper into what are we going to discuss today, we would like to invite you to all join us with discussions in the later phase at the last part of our webinar. But also in the meantime, if you will have any questions regarding any of the presentations, feel free to write down in the chat, and we will have a part of the time to respond to all of your questions. So don't hesitate to write down. And one technical information, you're all muted in the beginning, but if you wish to speak or to ask anything, just ask for permission to unmute yourself, and our technical part of support is going to give you the word and you can ask all of your questions. So I covered all of the technical parts. Before we go into the presentations, I would also like to welcome here Odeta Šapelite, Aušra Kazlovskiene, Remigius Pubnis, and Valentina Dagiene, all of the representatives of Vilnius University, who will be mainly speaking today in several sections, let's say, about our research and our support from All Digital that will be here helping us out with all of the technical parts, but also they are our moral support throughout the entire time. So what are we going to discuss today is, let's say, talk about three perspectives of our research. What we have done in the last year is made quantitative and qualitative research on how are we teaching informatics, how are we satisfied with it, what are the ways and the methods of teaching in 10 European countries that are members, partners of our project. So this is the mainly aim of today's webinar, to discuss with you what we have learned about it and what can you also use in your everyday practice. Partially is going to be presented by Valentina Dagiene. What do we teach? How do we teach? An online survey is going to be presented by Remigius Pubnis, and how are we satisfied by the voice of students, parents, and other stakeholders is going to be presented by Odeta Šapelite and with the support of Aušra Kazlovskiene. But before we dig deeper into this, I would like to take a couple of minutes to present you the project itself, what are the aims of it, and to just give you a glimpse of what we want to achieve with this 3 years project. I will share my presentation to make it a bit more visual as well. So we will start by presenting the full name of our project. So it's Digital First in short, but as you can see, digital tech as the first language, informatics for digital natives. Well, it's a long title, but what does it actually mean? This means that we have granted the project that is under Erasmus Plus that lasts for 3 years, that started in December 2023 and it lasts until November 2026. So we have 3 full years of lots of activities. And what we wanted to achieve with this project and what we are aiming to achieve as well is to see how the digital tech is the first language is taught for our digital natives. It's a lot of complicated words, but what is the main aim is to see how in primary and secondary schools across Europe, mainly focused in our 10 European countries, informatics is being taught. How can we change the approach, how we can improve it, how we can adapt it to the needs of today's age, when the most of our children who are in schools are born with laptops, mobile phones, and so on in their hands, and how we can use their knowledge to and how we can use our knowledge as well to make them critical thinkers, how they can be an active users instead of passive users in our informatics digital age, and to see what is actually the current situation. As I mentioned in the beginning, we did the first part, and now in the continuous part of the project, we will focus more on how we can implement all that we've learned so far. As I mentioned in the beginning, Vilnius University did most of this research, but we also have 14 other partners in 11 countries. So here is a presentation of who are our project members. So us from Croatia, Algebra University, as well as association partners in learning. We have Spain, Finland, Slovenia, Portugal, Greece, Cyprus, Italy, Bulgaria, Belgium. You can see the names of all the organizations, universities, associations, schools, and so on. So feel free to consult them afterwards. But as you can see, it's a very diverse consortium in which we are really trying to get the full picture of what is happening. And with gathering all the knowledge together, we are really aiming to the big results for this project. To get a better picture of what I was speaking at the beginning is that we really wanted to see what is happening with informatics education right now. How can we move from traditional ways of teaching to really some modern and improved ways of enhancing the real critical thinking, of approaching towards the real needs and real challenges of informatics age. We really want to prepare the students to be ready to address them and to encourage them to be really the creators of all of that is surrounding us in our age, and not only to be the ones who are, let's say, scrolling and using the content, but actually to be the ones who are creating it. As some of our objectives of the project is to really understand what is happening. So this is what are we going to present today, the theory and practice, what is in our schools, primary and secondary at the moment, who is teaching, what is happening, which are the methods used, and so on. And then when we get the first step on what is happening, we would be then using this knowledge to prepare pedagogical approaches of teaching informatics to see how can we improve them, and what can we still leave and use what is currently in the schools. So we have a base and then what we can improve upon that. Regarding this, we also want to improve the competences of our informatics teachers, specifically for primary and secondary schools, but we also want to make recommendations for higher education institutions preparing the teachers entering the classrooms on how they can improve their methods and ways of teaching. What is also an added value of the project is a teacher support network, since lots of our participants in all of our activities are, of course, teachers, some of them precisely informatics teachers, and some of them, they were in the technical background, but they found themselves in the schools in one way or another. But we want to support them and make them and provide them, let's say, a source that they can network and where they can exchange their knowledges. And this is why we also are currently undergoing the dialogue clubs, which are gatherings of teachers, but not only teachers, also educational experts, parents, and so on, in which we can also exchange the knowledge about informatics teaching and see what is actually happening, how we can improve it. I've mentioned most of the activities so far. What I haven't mentioned is that after we define all of those things, we are going to prepare the teaching and learning materials on how to improve the informatics teaching, and then we will approach to the schools and let's test it out to see if our knowledge that we have gathered throughout the project is something that is useful and that it can be adaptable in schools. And then in the end, we are going to also learn how to use the lots of data that we are collecting throughout also this project, but also in the schools, that we have lots of data that it can be used for informatics teaching, for improving the informatics teaching, but also the education in overall. And let's say about the impact. All of these activities are actually strengthening the knowledge and competences of informatics teachers. Not only teachers, but the schools and like the whole institutions, but also the entire educational policies, because we will gather the knowledge and we will gather all of the data that can be used for several policy recommendations, specifically, of course, in teaching informatics in lots of levels of education, from primary, secondary, and higher education. students, because it's really important that we have synergy from what is happening in the field, in our schools, but also to have a support from our policies, national ones, and of course the EU policies. And to talk a little bit about why is it important. It is important because informatics in these times is something that is like must have knowledge. We are constantly surrounded with lots of challenges, emerging technologies, and if we do not know how to use it, then we will be as a society in a big problem and we will have lots of challenges. We have the challenges already, but we really need to prepare our students on how to think critically, how to use internet safely, and so on, and to really make them prepared for the world and with the real world challenges that they're expecting after finishing schools. I wouldn't go into much detail for this slide. I already mentioned the challenges that we have with the competencies of our teachers and what we want to improve with the new and improved pedagogical approaches. And yeah, so the entire project is actually aimed to enhance the competencies of teachers, but also schools. As I've mentioned also, we want to, with this complicated words from structural to functional approach, we really want to actually bring closer everything that is surrounding us in our everyday life, from our how do we express our feelings and how do we interact, how do we follow regulations and so on, to really implement that into informatics teaching, to see how we can relate with technology and how we can relate with all of the aspects of informatics in our everyday life. Because if we only learn, for example, how the computer is built, it's not necessarily important to us to know how to actually use this computer. This is really a basic way of introducing what we want to achieve, but it's more or less important that we have concepts that are really needed and that they are really adjusted with everyday life that we are surrounded and with everyday challenges that we can detect. Also with the emerging technologies, as I've said, for example, as an artificial intelligence, there will be lots of challenges on how to really approach to it and how to use it in a real ethical way, safe way, and to really know to distinct, let's say, positive from the negative. And all of that is needed through not only informatics teaching, but also other cross-curricular topics and other subjects as well. But informatics is here primarily to teach us on how to really use everything that is around us in a right and a proper manner. And to, let's say, wrap up my part, what we really want is to prepare the children who are born into the digital world to really be using digital technology in a way that is useful for them, but it's also useful for the society, and that it can be used in ethical and correct way for the entire society at all. This is with what I would like to wrap up. Here you can take a look at our links for our website, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to take a look at what we have done so far. And of course, you can subscribe to our newsletter to follow up on the recent news and happenings in our project. And yeah, you can always contact any of us if you want to have any more information, or if you want to also join to our activities. So this is it from my part. I will stop sharing my presentation and give the floor to Valentina, who will be talking about how do we teach. She will, what do we teach? She will tell us about informatics education, computational thinking, and digital competences. She will present our research in 10 European countries. So Valentina, the floor is yours.
So, hello, everybody. Thanks, Maja, for presenting what I am. Actually, I will focus more on informatics, computational thinking, digital competencies, how to understand, and a little broader, and connections. It's not going down. Strange. Just a moment. Yeah, it's a little slowly, maybe delay. So this is our project, the Digital Fast project. The focus is on teaching, actually, if it in one word, on teaching education in this 15 in 10 European countries, and we have different culture, different methods, and different ways of integrating informatics education. But I would like to start a little from terminology that we're using informatics, but actually it is the same as other countries using computer science for example, like in the US or other countries, computing in Great Britain, that they're using computing. Computing is more general term, but it is in education also, it's like informatics. And with digital technology, we understand like ICT or IT, information technology, that just use computers, use technology. But in our project, we focus on informatics, to going deeper, to prepare not only users of technology, but to prepare engineers, to prepare future creators, developers who will do, who understand behind computers, who understand more better and creative persons. That's why we are talking also about computational thinking, that is now more and more thoughts on computational thinking, that it's somehow overlapping, but it is so slowly changing slides. I don't know what is. No buttons is working. What's strange a little. I don't know why. Oh, very, very slow changing slides. So it should be. So this is computational thinking comes originally from Seymour Papert. I really recommend the listeners to just to look at Papert's works, and especially Mindstorm. That's a lot of creative ideas. But computational thinking is popularized by Jonathan Wing in 2006. There are many papers written, and what I wanted to maybe to highlight that she wrote that computational thinking is a thought process. So it means we put more attention on thinking, on how to make a thinking process. I don't know what is again going. How to change slides?
Valentina, if you want, we can also share, but let's see.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying, just because it's first time that it's so hard to change slides, and so this is. I wanted to also to pay attention on one of the newest books. This is from two researchers, Denning from US and Matti Tedre from Finland. That they wrote this is a short book, but it's really very nice explained about informatics teaching and computational thinking. And they wrote that computational thinking compromises the mental skills and practices for designing, explaining, and interpreting the world as a complex of information processes, what is really, really good to read. So what is, now I wanted few minutes to spend on what is informatics. So informatics, we can just think about 3 roots of informatics, and then probably it can make us all, it doesn't matter if you are an informatician or mathematician or from science or humanities, that it makes us together, that we have all these 3 roots, and it takes like more than 4,000 years ago that we started as humans, as human beings. We started with information and data representation, what is really humans wanted. Of course, I have very short time, but just to mention. And these 3 roots are information and data representation, then algorithms and automation, because algorithms was like already 1,000 years ago that people wanted to make algorithms, but automation became when with technology. Then the last root is technology. So technology is very important to have right technology, what we are doing now. And so that's why we have these goals in our schools, that we need to bring students, our pupils, that they can understand, steer, and contribute to this world of humans in informatics, in technology, in algorithms or data sciences. And then we need to introduce this computational thinking, what is based also on computational and constructive methods. And I wanted to make a cite from Seymour Papert that life is not about having the right answer, or at least it should not be. It is about getting things to work. It's also practical that we need to balance and to compromise this theoretical viewpoints, methods, teaching, learning, and also our practical issues. And so I wanted also to mention about one very interesting report that is, I was involved also, that Vilnius University was involved in this EU joint research and reviewing computational thinking in compulsory education. It's also, it's on a website that it's easy to download and to see. And this is also, we dig in computational thinking and informatics teaching in 22 EU countries. What is relations between computational thinking, computer science, and some other parts? As you see, that computational thinking and computer science, it's overlapping, but not totally. It depends also on authors, on policymakers, but they have some common part. And coding, programming is the smallest part, but if we are thinking of digital competencies or information technology, it's slightly another world, because then we focus more on users, and in informatics computational thinking we focus more on the creativity, on the creators of those people who wanted to contribute in future society with new technology, with new items that we all can use. So I wanted just to 1 minute to present that what we have in Lithuania in informatics curricula. Actually, we are lucky that we have informatics compulsory education from 5th grade until school leaving, and we have 1 hour per week. And we updated our curricula, and as you see that our curricula consists from 6 areas, and the biggest area is devoted to algorithms and programming, is almost together with the data mining, is like for 60%. At data mining and information, you know that it is really, really important now that it's made background for artificial intelligence, for AI. And we have smallest parts that we need to dedicate to digital competencies, like, for example, like safe behavior, virtual environment, technological problem solving, but it's approximately like 1/3 of our content, of Lithuanian content. And okay, I can hear how do we teach and learn informatics. That will Odetta will talk a little more, and about methods also Aushra will talk. That we in this project we found many methods that we are using, and I would like just to highlight one of, or maybe 2 of methods, that is unplugged activities. That unplugged activities also in many research that telling that these activities helped the students, helped our learners to understand better, for example, like programming, to understand better algorithms. And that's why we need also to focus on some activities called unplugged or without computers. And just one example from such unplugged activities is Bebra's challenge on informatics and computational thinking. For example, there is one task, for Bebra's task, that you can easily, I think, in 1 minute you can solve. That is, you see a pattern of umbrella, and here is 4 images, and you need to find this image, and actually it seems that like it's very childish, it's example, but actually what is behind is pattern recognition. We need to discuss about patterns, and there is also sequencing, what sequences, and if we find some sequencings, then we can discuss about algorithms, and if we have, for example, like thousands of umbrellas, we can discuss about how to select, how to collect data, how to represent them, how we can ask robot to do this task. And of course, we need to discuss about AI literacy. And AI literacy should be part of informatics education. And here's one of the books that you can download easy from internet. And as you see, there is combination of AI literature and informatics education, what is really now important in our informatics education. So many thanks for listening, and so now I will give floor to another speaker, Remigius. Stop sharing. Thank you, and if you have questions, I will be ready to answer.
Okay, hello to everyone. I will try to share my screen. Is it okay? Do you see?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Today I will present the main results of an online survey and answering the question, how do we teach? And the main objective of the study was to identify the main teaching and learning strategies and methods used in the practice of informatics and computer science teaching in schools. The results of the survey reveal the main strategies and most used methods of teachers in their professional practice in teaching and learning. The online survey analyzed the data of 979 questionnaires that were suitable for the analysis. The most of survey participants were teachers from Lithuania, Slovenia, and Portugal, and most of them are secondary school teachers, and 29% are primary school teachers. Most of the teachers from the 10 countries who participated in the study teach informatics, computer science as a separate subject, and 1/3 of the teachers integrate informatics, computer science knowledge in their teaching practice. To identify what teaching learning strategies are used in practice, an exploratory factor analysis was performed. And here you can see the strategies in each factor. After the factor analysis of teaching and learning strategies, 3 factors were identified. As you can see, reflective experience-based learning, multimodal interaction-oriented, and teacher-centered teaching and learning strategies. Here you can also see what strategies comprise each factor, and it is important to know that teachers use various teaching strategies and methods, demonstrating their knowledge and creativity. Here I will highlight only the key statistically significant tendencies from the data analysis. In teaching, teacher-centered strategies are the most common. Meanwhile, multimodal and interactive strategies are used the least. This means that teachers rarely use different ways of presenting information and engaging students to better meet their individual learning needs. There is a tendency that teaching is not often based on the experiences of the learners. Important to mention that in questionnaire, teachers were asked to choose the most frequently used strategies in their teaching and evaluate how often they use them and how important and necessary they are for teaching. Analyzing each factor in more detail, we see that instructional and demonstration, imitation-based teaching and learning strategies are mostly chosen and used by teachers. The results show that teachers in secondary schools use teacher-centered strategies more often. This suggests they use traditional methods where the teacher provides knowledge and students mainly listen and follow instructions. Also, gamification and game-based strategies are more common in primary education, while secondary education focuses more on theory and problem solving. And this shows that strategically adapted teaching functions are applied in different age groups. However, further balancing of teaching methods is necessary to develop critical thinking and practical application skills necessary in a digital society. The strategies chosen by teachers reveal that although traditional teacher-centered practice still dominate, especially in secondary education, the ICT teachers community itself values active learning and practical application strategies. In the group reflective, experience-based teaching learning strategies, problem-based and experience-based teaching and learning strategies are mostly applied. Problem-based and experience-based strategies focus on real-life situation, as you know, which is the key in informatics, where theory quickly turns into practical skills. Multimodal strategies, as you can see, interactive teaching and learning methods that use different ways of presenting information and engaging students to better suit their needs are less commonly used by teachers compared to the other strategies. Teachers highlight the importance of these methods, suggesting that they could be used more effectively. When analyzing the frequency and importance of teacher-centered strategies used by teachers, it was found that instructional and demonstration imitation-based strategies are the most commonly chosen. However, a clear gap appears between their use and perceived importance. Despite being the most frequently used strategies, teachers don't consider them important for teaching and learning. And this suggests that teachers recognize the strategies they use most often are not necessarily the ones they find most important. To analyze in more detail what teaching and learning methods teachers use in their practice, after performing the factor analysis of teaching and learning methods, 5 factors were identified. Here you can see all of them. Digital multimodal methods, experiential interaction-oriented methods, teacher-centered methods, and etc. And the data shows that in teaching and learning practices, methods focused on the teacher activity, knowledge, and independent teaching and learning are dominant. It can be said that in the teaching of informatics and computer science, more attention is paid to the teacher's activity and the knowledge shared. And independent learning of students is also encouraged. However, less attention is paid to interactive engagement of students, collaboration or teamwork, analysis of their experiences, and etc. Analyzing what teacher-centered teaching and learning methods are applied in the practice of informatics or computer science teachers, it is observed that the most popular methods are demonstration, direct instruction, and explanation. In addition to these basic methods, repetition and observation methods are often used. It is important to note that the teachers themselves doubt the importance of teacher-centered methods in teaching. Although these methods are used quite often, they are not considered by teachers to be essential for teaching and learning success. This may indicate that although teacher-centered methods are common in teachers' practice, their effectiveness in teaching ICT does not provide the value that teachers expect. In other words, while teachers use these methods, they still doubt whether they help develop students' deeper understanding and practical skills in this field. In the group of self-learning methods and knowledge-centered methods, the methods of individual and independent learning are mostly used in practice, which encourage students to explore the material on their own, analyze problem, and delve into educational information independently. In the field of assessment, tests are one of the most frequently used methods. Teachers emphasize the importance of reflection as a self-learning method. However, they consider tests and assignments from the book less significant in teaching informatics. Although digital multimodal methods and experiential interaction methods are considered important for student engagement and deep understanding, their use in ICT lesson is limited. Teamwork and group work are commonly used in informatics teaching and are seen as very important by teachers. This approach promotes cooperation, helps students develop teamwork skills, share responsibilities, solve problems, and work toward common goals. While teachers acknowledge the importance of digital multimodal methods, they are rarely used in teaching, particularly for topics like modeling, artificial intelligence, and computer simulations. Comparing the method used by primary and secondary school teachers, it is clear that self-learning, teacher-centered, and knowledge-based methods are more common in secondary education. Secondary school teachers view these methods as more important for teaching informatics than primary school teachers. The data analysis made it possible to highlight the main goals of secondary and primary education teachers in the lesson to help students use the acquired knowledge and skills. In secondary schools, most teachers focus on helping students develop skills to work with information. They use different methods to encourage students to search for, analyze, and present information, and teachers aim to help students identify problems and make informed decisions. As a result, secondary education mostly emphasizes representation, information, and heuristic functions, which develop students' analytical skills. Less attention is given to functions that manage or control actions, like setting rules or applying control mechanisms. These functions are more about regulation and often involve stricter compliance. There is also less focus on personal goal-related activities, such as developing communication skills or everyday tasks for example, shopping or writing. Primary education teachers share similar goals, along with the dominant representation, information, and heuristic functions. They also highlight the importance of fostering creativity and encouraging interaction through feedback. To identify the roles and agency they implement, there is a tendency for primary and secondary education teachers to follow a similar model of operation in their work. The main goal of all teachers is not only to convey the content of the program, but first to teach students to independently search and find solutions to various problems. To achieve this goal, teachers focus on thinking and reasoning processes, encouraging students to explore, question, and learn independently. Teachers also aim to facilitate and encourage students' explorations and to help them do their research. These modes of operation indicate that a more functionalist than structuralist approach prevails in the professional activities of teachers. The second, quantitative research data was supplemented by qualitative research data, and here you can see the essential meaning units expressed by the research participants. Summarizing the views of teachers, parents, school leaders, and representatives from business on teaching strategies, the main points are that teachers should prioritize encouraging students' direct experience, guiding them when necessary, and helping them find the right approach to the subject. For older students, methods like group work, independent activities, online research, and applications tools are crucial. Students appreciate interactive and collaborative teaching methods, including oral presentations, written work with multimedia tools, and peer learning. They engage with robots, visual programming, and text-based coding at different education levels. However, they feel lessons are too theoretical and lack practical applications. Overall, students are satisfied but seek more hands-on activities, interactive techniques, and advanced strategies for deep understanding and skills development. And finally, I want to summarize that the choice of teaching methods depends on various factors, such as the teaching goals, content, student needs, and context. It is important to select methods that best align with these factors and help achieve the desired outcomes. As Petit states, the choice and application of teaching methods and learning activities depend not only on the lesson objectives. It's also crucial to consider the students, the physical environment, such as the space and available tools, and the emotional climate, which I would wish for every computer science teacher to find their own and individual way to success in their practice. Thank you for your attention. And I'm posing the floor to my colleagues, to Odeta and Aushra, and maybe you have the questions at this time for me. So it's not Odeta, floor is yours.
Thank you.
I stop my sharing.
Okay. Hello to everyone. Hope you have still some energy left for the last presentation. Also, my colleagues have already mentioned some very important facts about informatics education. And so I'd like to present the last one about our satisfaction about informatics education, and to listen to the voice of the children, of parents and other stakeholders. And so in this research, as you already know, that we combined qualitative and quantitative research, and one of the objectives was to reveal how different members of school community are satisfied with the results of the informatics teaching and learning process. And so mainly those results are driven from the focus group discussions. During this research, we conducted 28 focus groups in 10 European countries. We really did quite a good job. And so we had 16 focus group with students, with our school children, and even 12 focus groups with other stakeholders, with parents, NGOs, representatives, and so on. So just try to listen. We would like to listen, and maybe I would like to invite you to listen to the voice. Really, it's not so easy to talk about satisfaction of teaching and learning informatics. And so mainly we can see this indirectly from the data. So focus group data analysis allowed us to generalize various perspectives on teaching and learning informatics. And so we also try to identify the strengths of informatics education that could be described as satisfied parts of overall informatics educational process. So one of the maybe important thing that we should focus on, that one of the aspects that was mentioned during focus groups was rated with essential skills. That the teaching of informatics significantly enhance students' communication skills, critical thinking, problem-solving skills, computational thinking, and etc. So this was mentioned during many focus groups. Also, just a minute, informatics education equips students with technical skills that are necessary for labor market, so they are prepared for a future career. Also, focus group discussion revealed such positive aspects that during informatics education, students more and more are involved, though during quantitative research, we observe that though maybe teacher-centered strategies and methods are usually mentioned, that they are used in educational process. But one of the strengths also was mentioned, that involvement in the learning process is seen, and we can notice this. And it is seen through the innovative methods, practical activities as well. Also, development of the autonomy was mentioned as quite maybe strong side of teaching informatics. That informatic classes teach practical skills that immediately could be implemented, and so students, they can use in everyday life those skills that they are taught during informatics classes. Also, interdisciplinary integration was seen as a positive and valuable aspect. Also, in some cases, in some countries, we see that we begin to start teach children from early age. And it was, and in many cases, it was mentioned as very important thing to start teach our children as early as we can. Also, we can observe positive attitudes and motivation from some students. We can't say that that all students are involved in informatics education with full motivation, but we still have some students who are participating with a motivation, with a willingness to know, with big interest. Also, in some countries, we see that teachers, maybe mostly parents and teachers, values that the general education curriculum was or is still updated, and there is a need to constantly update the curricula in each country. And here we can see how students describe notice about informatics teacher. For example, encourage students to commit to learning and constantly improve the skills. Help students to understand, also teachers can help students understand more complex aspects of material, clarify concepts, and find the right, and also help to find the right way from different kinds of situations. Also, they suggest that they want to see more practical and advanced content, interactive, multimodal learning strategies and methods that would give them a deep understanding and proper skills that could be used in everyday life. Also, during a focus group, we talked about the purpose of informatics education. And mainly participants of focus group, they mentioned that those goals are really have to be related with students with the development of students' general competences, to develop, for example, to develop life learning, logical reasoning, problem solving, creative of use technology, and so on. For teachers, parents, it should serve for the students' future. So the informatics usually related with students' future. During those focus groups, we talked about the ways how we can improve informatics, and also we talked about the directly, we didn't talk about discuss about the weaknesses, but we still can identify some weaknesses that reduce our satisfaction about informatics education. So these fears are related with institutional resistance, or lack of political support or policy in some countries, with curriculum overload and with overload of some topics, of absence of mandatory informatics subjects in primary, especially in primary education, or in some cases even in secondary education system. Also, we still see the problem of the qualified teachers. There is a lack of qualified teachers, a lack of availability of different kinds of resources, in infrastructural resources. Also, we still have a lack of books, e-books, and a lot of teaching materials. Also, there is a need of updated curricula, and a lot of people mentioned and talked about the need of to update the curricula. Also, we see deficiency in teacher training programs. Also fragmentation in teaching programs, deficiency of diversity and equality, meeting diverse and special educational needs. Also, quite the same view we can see even from online study, where teachers also were asked about the most challenging things of teaching and learning informatics. So we see the same view. We see that there is a problem, or there is some challenging aspects of when we're dealing with diverse needs in our learning environment. So also there is some problems with curriculum implementation, with professional development, with technological and infrastructural problems. Also, we still have a lot of issues concerning external digital threats. So a lot of people, they talked about the need to focus on digital security and to teach our students about those issues. And there are some insights from teachers. Computing is not just a game. Sometimes we still think that during informatics teaching, we are learning how to play various games. Even this understanding is still obviously alive. A curriculum that does not adapt to new teaching methods and does not follow trends. So we still have to think about the need to update the curricula. And interdisciplinarity should be one of the directions to improve informatics education. So there are also some insights from students' perspective and also from other members of school communities, how we can improve even those spheres of identified weaknesses. Allows us to speak about the directions of improvement. But still, we also talked with students and other stakeholders how to improve, and just only several things. There is something related with innovative infrastructure. We still have to focus on this. Also, there are some issues that that are related with content topics and the curricula. So the students also focusing on that we have to take more attention on digital security, data security, fraud prevention. Also, there is a need for more specific and advanced informatics topics, for example, how to game designing and etc. Also, we should pay attention how to developing programming logic and solving problems rather focusing on programming itself. Also, focus on self-reflection and critical thinking. And even students, they mentioned that curriculum should be updated, that informatics should be as a compulsory subject, and that even a curriculum should be differentiated. There is maybe a platform for debates, for reflections on what students reflect, how we can improve informatics, how the parents and other stakeholders expressed their maybe some thoughts about how we can improve informatics education. So there are some content-related topics. So they suggest to explain how artificial intelligence works and how it can help without assuming that it can replace their reasoning or skills. So we have to focus on this. Also on cybersecurity, on data analysis. Also we have to show our children how we can use data analysis, how we can use the results of data analysis to make reasonable decisions. Also, they talked a lot about insurance of equal opportunities. No student should be left behind. Therefore, access to modern technologies should be provided for all students. And so we still have to rethink about the ensuring diversity and equality to meet diverse and special educational needs. Also, we have to talk about gender balance. So business, for example, representatives and school leaders emphasize gender balance in computer science education, so that it should be maybe more friendly for our girls. Also, we still have to rethink how to change our attitudes towards informatics, and maybe to talk more about the sense of the informatics education. And I think that we can talk a lot because we have really a huge data and very interesting data, and the data that allows us to reflect and to rethink. And so maybe if someone is interested much more, so you can visit project's website and to read full reports of our transnational research. And I think that's it for the moment. And maybe you have some questions or reflections on what my colleagues already presented. So thank you.
Thank you, Odeta. Thanks to Odeta, Valentina, and Remigius and Ausra for really an extensive and detailed overview of our research. We really just tackled, I would say, the surface of all of these perspectives on what is really important in informatics, what have we learned from our online surveys, what Remigius told us about, and the qualitative part with the focus groups presented by Odeta and supported by Ausra. We would like to invite you, of course, to ask any questions. We haven't seen anything in the chat, but of course, you are all invited to speak up, to talk with us, to provide your feedback, comments, or anything else. So feel free to do so. Selin, in the meantime, wrote it down in the chat. She provided you with links about our project. She presented you with the links of articles who are bringing our project topic a bit closer. Of course, the link to our transnational research report that Odeta talked about. So feel free to consult it, to read it, to use it. We're hoping we are, let's say, sure that most of you who are here today would find this really interesting, either if you're a parent, teacher, or just in love with informatics. It would be interesting for you. I see one question by Roma. I've got one question regarding digital ethics, digital hygiene, and so on. If anyone wants to reply to this, maybe Roma, you can also unmute yourself and try to explain a bit what you want to ask, so we can provide a better answer. If maybe we can try to see if I understood well, it's like, are these topics maybe relevant, important? Are they mentioned in our research? Are they identified as important? So maybe Odeta, Valentina, Remigius, maybe some of you can provide with the answer, but I see Roma asked to unmute her. So I would kindly ask Alexandra or Selin to jump in.
I see unmuted, but then now.
Dear Roma, yeah, you can speak up. You just need to unmute yourself.
Yes, thanks.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes, now I can unmute myself. Yes, thank you very much. And thank you for nice and good presentations. And my name is Roma Jusienė. I am a professor in psychology. Yes, Valentina knows me. Yes, my concern is mostly, I'm researching a lot problematic internet use, and my concern is how can teachers of informatics can be involved in this digital health, I would call it, or digital ethics. Interestingly, you, Odeta, presented that students themselves want to know more about digital security, but also I think it's another side of this using technologies, that overusing them or using not in very appropriate way can have another risks, yes, and also for mental health. So maybe you have some thoughts or ideas, and maybe you asked your participants about this also side of using technologies. Because yes, and I just want to very shortly share that in 2018 I was visiting in Taipei several schools. They introduced even earlier informatics in primary school, and necessary part of teaching informatics was talking about at least 2 or several lessons talking about risks of using technologies. So thank you. I would like to hear some comments.
Okay, maybe I'll begin just to answer a bit. only we didn't talk so deeply during the research, and especially in focus groups, about this digital threats and so on. But they expressed that they that they would like to know more about how to prevent of those threats and so on. So we just it would be very good to talk more deeply how they, for example, understand and how they suggest, for example, to work more. But in some cases, in some countries, also data security is one of the topics that is taught during the informatics education. And maybe Valentina will tell more about us, about this part. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can just really thank Roma for you always have deep questions.
Yes.
And there is two sides. From one side, of course, we need to introduce about the security, ethical issues, and now with AI, it's so important. But it is business not only informatics teachers. This is business of all teachers. And if we have, like in our primary school, we have this on communication, on everywhere we need, if we teach like communication skills or some, we need to teach to mention this ethical issues and everywhere. Then it's majority, I would say, for all teachers. And another part is for informatics teachers, for more computer science part, that we, especially with elder students, we need to show how it's security, how we can ensure security. That is means we teach some cryptography, we teach some coding, that they can understand from one side how it is done, and from other side how to secure, how to make better this. For example, with AI, you can see this captcha and so other algorithms, and we need to. Every time we need to improve and improve, because from one side, hackers is making better something to break down, and from other side, we as a computer scientists need to make better algorithms. So it means that is two sides. That again, and that's in this project. We cannot. We have so many questions to ask, but because we are here 10 countries, so we can look in each country how we can manage these questions. And in Lithuania, we know that we are putting attention to both sides. To teach this ethical security issues for all students, including all teachers that they need. And from other side, informatics teachers pay attention more deep to understand. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to add a little bit about the research results. In the quantitative study, we ask teachers what they teach, and the results of the quantitative study show that teachers pay too little attention to safety and risk factor analysis in the educational process in the school, especially primary school teachers. And however, it indicates that this is very important and relevant for them. So I think we have to think that there is a great need or big need to talk about and emphasize this more in the future, and include more themes about the security and safety in the internet and in our curriculum. And we have to start this from the primary school level when we are trying to talk about the safety and the risk factors in this field.
Thank you very much. Only just one comment short that this digital security is only one part, yes, but also I think it's very important to not only keep in mind, but also to educate students. Also, you mentioned, for example, that they have also personal purposes, yes, for like shopping, communicating, using social media and so on, and also video playing and so on. So it's maybe very important, and I know that it's very important to hear from teachers of informatics that it's okay also to be, how to say, good users, but also it's very important to not overuse in terms of duration. As for example, as a lot of studies show, to play video games not more than 2 hours, it's okay. Yes, and it's even educating some skills, also executive functions and so on. But if you overuse and you are playing 3 and more hours, it's already damaging and doing some yes damage for your mental health and your emotional well-being and so on. So I think it's also very, very important to introduce this part of teaching in informatics. Also, as you mentioned, it's very important not to narrow only to informatic teachers, yes, but also they also, I think, should talk about such things. Thank you.
Thank you, Roma, for your questions and comments. I think we managed to answer all of your questions and to comment on your approach about it, and it was interesting to hear another perspective on this. Is there any other question by our listeners or any comments in the chat? Okay, if there is nothing else, we would like to wrap this webinar up. If you will be having any other questions that will emerge later on or after you rewatch this video of our webinar, you can always contact any of our partners. You can ask what you need, and we will be glad to respond to all of your inquiries. And once again, thanks to all of our participants who were presenting today, to Odeta, Ausra, Remingis, and Valentina. Thank you for your efforts for presenting our transnational research report as detailed and, let's say, presentful in a way so that everyone can understand what we were doing and provided a really added value to our project. So we've learned a lot for sure as project partners, but we also hope that all of you who are listening today, you also learned something. You can use our results in any of your projects, in your school life, or in any other areas that you find important. Thank you for taking the time and effort to listen to us, and we see you on another occasion. Enjoy the rest of your day, and goodbye from our side.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Digital first.